it good?
Yeah. Steep.
A little humid, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, it's very humid actually. Well, this is our horse demonstration, and this is my good friend Mark. Mark, you want to wave to everybody? Say hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
And this is his wife, Kay.
Hey.
And they're going to be giving us a little bit of insight into horses and leadership and different horsenalities, as they like to call them. And these are pretty much their kids, and they love them, and they love showing them to us. And I am just so excited to see it. This will be my 6th or 7th time seeing it, and I can't wait to see it again. It's always great. So without further ado, Mark and Kay.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to make some introductions of 3 farm hands who help us do all of the work that it takes to get here. So we have Noelle holding the dog, and then Heather and Amanda. And, you know, just so that you are aware, they get to our house at around 7:30 in the morning. They help feed horses, clean stalls, get the horses loaded on the trailer, load the equipment on the trailer, yada, 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 to enable us to get here on time. So we really appreciate all their work. Before we begin, a couple things about safety, just so that you are aware, should not be a problem at all, but in the event a horse would come through this little bit of a fence, the very best thing you could do is, just stay put, to be honest. If you start running, the horses think it's a game of chase, and they will win. Okay, and so the very best thing you can do is just stay put. If you are really fearful you're going to get run over, then just make yourself kind of big and flap your arms. And that'll work. Seriously, that works. Yeah, do a wave or something like that. All right, I'd like to open in prayer. Please. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for blessing us with these horses and allowing us to try to perhaps give some words and thoughts from you to other people. We thank you that we have this opportunity. We ask that you be with us today, that we may be following your guidance as we present to the teenagers. Ask them to please have open hearts and minds as they look at these horses and think about their own spiritual walk. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, Mark is going to ask the horses to just move around as a group when they're done rolling. While he's doing that, I'm going to introduce them to us, to you, I know them, and tell you a little bit about horses as an animal, okay? The one thing is that they are a herd animal, and that means they are together, and that's true whether they're out in the wild in the ranges where the Mustangs are, or whether they're domesticated and on someone's farm or ranch. They stay together. So they're a herd animal. Another fact about horses is that every herd must have a leader. And that leader will do things to keep the herd together. So as they run around, we'll take a look at them, and I'll ask you to think about which one you think might be a leader. The brown one is named Chico, and he's about 17 years old now, I think. The white one, coming straight at me, is Legend, and he's 14. The black one is El Tigre, or Tigger, and he's also 14. Where's our sound guy? Are we hearing that? Okay. All right. So those are 3 of our 7 horses that we brought today. Brown is Chico, white is Legend, and black is Tigger or El Tigre. So now looking at them, who do you think the leader is?
The black one.
White one.
The white one, Legend. He's out in front a lot, isn't he? Somebody said Chico. Why do you think Chico might be the leader? You think they take turns with leadership? They have a vote and say, okay, you're going to be our leader this lap, and then the next lap it's going to be somebody else. Okay.
It might be the black one.
The way he carries himself, he looks like a leader.
Yes,
Okay.
leaders always stay in the back.
It's the black one.
It's black.
Black one.
Sometimes when we think about leaders, we think it's the person or the animal in front.
It's the back.
Can you lead from the back?
Yes.
Can you push people forward, or can a horse push other horses forward? So sometimes the leader's from the back. All right, so the actual leader of our herd is Chico.
Oh, wow.
And he is what's considered the alpha horse, so he is the boss of all the horses. And you'll see him communicate that leadership by making the horses move their feet, by making them go where he wants them to go. And he'll do that with his look. He'll do that by laying his ears back. If necessary, he'll do it with his teeth or with his hooves. But he will establish and keep that leadership. Legend, who's always out in front, and so we think he's the leader, is actually always out in front because he's running for his life. He is always afraid. And so I want to talk about that just a minute, because as people, we have times that we're afraid where it's like, oh, you know, this Ferris wheel is high and I'm a little afraid. Or we have times where it's a seriously life-threatening event and we are afraid for our lives. If any of you have experienced that, you know, like a near drowning or a robbery or something like that, where it was a fear for your life, remember what your body felt like and what you were thinking. When a horse is even a little bit afraid, that's the level of fear that a horse has. They don't have these little increments of fear. They go from everything's fine, I love my life, to goodness gracious, I'm going to die right now, somebody help me. Okay, so and that's why horses can be very challenging to ride, because when you're out riding them and all of a sudden a grouse flies up, they don't think, oh, it's a little bird and nothing to be afraid of. They think something is here to kill me and I'm going to die and I need to run away. So it goes from 0 to full fear right away. All right, now we're going to ask Mark to peel off one of the horses and get the horse to leave the herd or the peer group and accept Mark as the leader. And as I watch him do this, I often think about my life, specifically my spiritual life, and when I feel God calling me to do different things, how do I respond? And do I willingly and cooperatively say, yes, God, I'm there and I'll do it and I'm all over it? Or do I go, oh, I'm too scared, or I'm not doing it? And so as you watch these horses respond to Mark's leadership, think about your own lives, because I think that's where you'll see the power of the illustration. So who do you want to get first?
Chica.
Legend, Whitey. What I'm going to try to do with these horses, and hopefully have it be easy for you to see, is that I'm going to ask 3 different horses to do the same thing. I'll do it one at a time, and what I would have you try to look for is the differences between the horses. I'm going to ask the same thing. My leadership says I want to do some very certain things with these horses. I want first for them to find me and catch me. I want them to say, please be my leader. Horses hate being leaders. They're born followers. So for all of us that love being followers, horses can be our champions. And what else the horse is going to do is say, if they acknowledge my leadership, they're going to come over to me. And when they do, they're going to say, please lead me. What I want you to see is, as they change in their horsenalities, how do I have to change in order to be a qualified leader for them? My tasks are going to be the same, but I have to witness to them differently because of their horsenalities. So my leadership is based on being able to take very different kinds of learners in these horses and get them to do the same things by me changing the way I operate. So the first horse you're going to meet, the white horse, Legend, his barn name is Twitch. It's his normal operating style. Oh, I think I'm going to die. He's sure that everybody around carries a fillet knife and that he's going to be injured. And Kay has already told you that when a horse is in fear, they are in fear for their lives. So for him to submit leadership to me might require him to say, my strength as his leader is stronger than his fear of dying. So I'm going to ask him to come on over and meet us. And the first thing that he's going to have to do in order to accommodate me is he's going to have to see me as a stronger leader than he sees Chico. So let's see what it takes for him to say, okay. The language I'm going to talk to this horse is not English, it's not Spanish, it's body. And one of the traits that humans have is if they're going to exert control over something, they stop it. They say, sit in this chair, don't move, you're in timeout, stay right there. For me to exhibit leadership over a horse, I control their motion and their movement. That's what determines my leadership. Okay, is that your microphone or mine?
Yours. I think it's when you get farther away from the receiver.
I've never seen this take longer than 2 days.
So now that Legend is beginning to get separated from his herd, watch him. What's his demeanor like? Is he calm, happy, scared, trusting? Watch his face change as he begins to say, I'll accept your leadership. Watch his head. It'll probably drop down lower, and it will be very likely that he'll lick his lips a little bit and chew a little bit, because that's evidence that a horse is thinking and that their whole mind is kind of getting in the program now. When a horse is afraid, their heads are up, they're looking around like that. When they're calm and secure, their head drops down and their eye turns kind of soft looking.
So now Legend has given me a huge responsibility. He has said, you now have the duty to lead me. And you better be good. Because if not, I'm going to twitch. Because that's my name. So now leaders say to horses, walk when I walk, stop when I stop, turn when I turn, back up when I ask you to, move away from me as the leader of the herd, and move your feet over there. Don't lose track of who's the leader here. Stop over here, go over there, look at me out of this eye, look at me out of that eye. Is he accepting my leadership at this point? Is he cute? Does he need kissing right on his nose?
Aww.
It's the best smell in the world right there. I hope not. Somebody said it, does he smell like bacon? So now he's being very attentive to me. So I'm going to now ask him to do some things, because I said I would ask all three horses to do the same things and see the difference in how they react to my leadership. My motions are very slow. I'm saying to him, I know you get upset easily, so I'm willing to be very slow in how I ask you to do things.
I'd like to point out one thing as you're watching, your primary focus on Legend. It'd be good to kind of eyeball Chico every once in a while. He is the leader of that peer group, and you'll notice he does not forget about Legend. He'll do different things, different facial expressions that say, hey, leave that schmuck and come with us, okay?
Hey, wait a minute. And see how Legend gets nervous about going over these pipes? And he goes, I gotta walk really quick. His head comes up, he gets nervous. He's only done this maybe 6,000, 7,000 times in his life. But each time, it's really scary. And no matter how much I assure him that he will not die doing that, the next time I ask him to do that, he wants to pull away. Oh, I'm gonna have to really do this quickly.
I notice Legend also checks in with that peer group and his horse leader periodically.
So I want you to watch his head right now and see how comfortable he is with my leadership. If he looks out away from me, he's nervous about my leadership. If he looks into me, he's comfortable with it. See how he's kind of looking out? So I'll ask him, can you trust me and turn in here a little bit? Thank you. Look at me and accept my leadership. I have to have something to offer him to be worthwhile to look into that's better than what he's looking out. So if we work with people and say, follow the kind of Christian life that I'm walking, we have to have something good to show them and get him to look inside. Inside. You have to be worth following. I've said in these sessions for a number of weeks that I had a good friend of mine that I worked with whose definition of leadership was, if you're going down the road and turn around and nobody's behind you, you're not a leader. You're just a guy out for a walk. So with this horse, I have to have him behind me. I have to give him something to follow. If I don't give him something to follow, he'll run right back down to Chico, who's asking him to come down there anyhow, and he'll find his leadership somewhere else. So the quality of my leadership is on the ability to have him be an accepting follower. So now I'll ask him to do something that, if I'm correct about him, will also make him nervous. So I say, take your nose over there. And I want you to jump these great big bad barrels. And I'll be real calm about it and say, wouldn't you like to jump these barrels? Oh, these are really horse-killing barrels. I don't think I can do this. And look at what my choices are now. My choices are, you don't need to do that. My choices are, I don't want you to jump the barrels. I just want you to face them. It's a fear you have. Face your fear. Let me help you feel comfortable facing your fear. See him twitch? Oh, I know he's going to stab me with that stick and it's got a sharp point. My third option that I would not do, my third option would be jump the barrels. And I'm going to make all kinds of commotion behind you and make you jump the barrels. And he's telling me with his demeanor, I can't. It's not that I don't want to, I can't. So what can my leadership do to help him? So I'll say, can you come over here? And if you put yourself in motion and think about something else, and you think about something else and look to me and you think about something else, then can you jump the barrels? I didn't force him over. I gave him the alternative to do that and set it up so it wouldn't be fearful to him. And his response is, thanks, that's what a leader does. It chooses where I move my feet. So I helped him become the kind of follower that he needs to be, which is nervous about everything, anxious about everything, and if I just make it okay for him, he's willing to do it. So that is Legend. Now, is he a leader? But he's a darn cute follower, isn't he? So I will ask, who am I asking? I will ask, thank you. I will ask Amanda, barn hand extraordinaire, to take Leggy And when Amanda walks him down to the other end, she will speak no differently to him than I have. So what this horse follows is consistent leadership. I can't be one way with him and have Amanda be another way with him and expect him to respond the same way. She will talk the same talk to him, love on him the same as I do, and when she walks backwards and invites him to go with him or with her, he does. And even if she walks over the pipes, he'll say, I can't do that. So
We
that's
do think Legend is the cutest horse that we have. Once a few years ago, he was limping on one of his legs, and so it was after I got home from work and I had the vet out to look at him. And so what the vet has you do is to move the horse so they can look at the legs and try to figure out what's going on. And so I'm running him up and down the driveway while she's studying him, and then she looks at him and feels his legs and blah, blah, blah. And then she says, well, Kay, I think his legs are fine, but what's the matter with his nose? I don't know, something's wrong. And so I looked at his nose, and it was lipstick from me kissing him before she got there.
And no, he did not smell like bacon.
All right, so now Mark is going to get Tigger. So now Chico will be without a herd if this is successful. So watch Chico, what does he do to keep Tigger with him? And watch Tigger's response. Is it fearful and twitchy like Legend, or is it different? And when in our lives have we been like that? So take a look at Tigger. Remember, he's the black one.
One of the things that Chico will do as the leader of a herd is he will say, I'm going to put myself in the middle of the herd and put the lesser horses to the outside. So if it's a bear coming to eat one of the horses, please take my friend Tigger. That's just their nature to do that. He will sacrifice Tigger for the sake of his dominance in the herd. So what I'm going to ask Tigger to do is two things. Actually, I'm going to ask each of them to do one thing. I'm going to say to Tigger, feel my leadership. Feel that? Come on over here. And to Chico, I'm going to say, you're done. And Chico is going to give me one reaction, and Tigger's going to give me another. So let's see how well I can do this. These are not robo horses, you know. I have no idea how this will go. If I'm still alive, I'll talk to you in a minute. There, he's lighter already. So now I have to ask Chico to give up his herd of one. So I will separate them. And now I have to be very big with this horse who's saying, don't make me come to you.
All right, Mark, I'll probably narrate when you hit that midpoint, because I think that's, if you want to turn your microphone off for just a sec, I think that's when it gets most of the popping.
I hate not talking.
I understand. Whoa, so look at Tigger when you don't talk. But look at Tigger's ears. Does he look happy? A little bit on the surly side, maybe?
If you can see him, I'll walk him up here a little bit. But if you can see him, I want you to see his face above his eyes. Those are scars from banging his head in the trailer. Self-inflicted. He's been in that trailer lots and lots and lots and lots of times. But that's from this morning. That's brand new. He is that nervous. And this is a horse who says, you may have my leadership, but you better earn it every second, or else I'm going to run. Thank you, sweetheart. He's the kind of horse that says, I may choose to follow you as long as I agree with what you ask me to do. If I don't agree, I'm going to move my feet, I'm going to yank the rope, I'm going to tell you I'm out of here. So watch his leadership, or my leadership with him, and see what does it take to get him to comply with me. And my measurement of compliance is by the belly in this rope. Can I have him do what I want him to do and not run away with that rope? So my request is open hand. Please don't run away. Please don't run away. Choose to follow me. Please don't run away. Please don't run away. Please don't run away. Please don't run away. Boop. He ran away. I had to close my hand. And now he goes, sorry, Dad.
And if Mark closes his hand and keeps it closed, Tigger will get very rebellious. He'll do this thing with his head and neck, and he will literally pull Mark across this arena.
If Mark's not smart enough to let go of the rope.
Right.
And all I'm saying, see, he's supplying all that. I'm not asking for that. He's just going, I'm nervous. There's a bunch of eyes looking at me. I don't know any of these folks. And I got to move my feet. I got to quit watching him because he makes me hurl. So now I'll ask Tigger to do the same things I asked Legend to do. Don't take the slack out of the rope. Stay mentally connected with me so you don't have to pull on me physically, is what I'm asking this horse. He agreed. He said, yeah, okay, I'm all right. I'll go along with that one.
And
How about if I
notice
ask him to do it faster?
Sorry, honey. Notice his head is dropping down a little bit. He's looking a little more confident and secure.
Don't make me pull the rope. Don't make me pull the rope. Can you stop and come here? Thank you. Now, if I ask him to move his feet, I brought Legend over here and asked him to move his feet. I'll ask Tigger to do the same thing, only I'll do the same task, but a little differently. I'll ask him to look at me out of alternating eyes and not go past my shoulder. Don't go past my shoulder. Don't go past my shoulder. Now I'm asking him to do things he doesn't agree with. Don't go past my shoulder. He's going, I don't like that. Is he thrilled being a follower now? Doesn't he act like I just beat him into submission? If we're up to him, he'd be long gone. And all I'm saying is, just stay in that space. Now take your eye over there. Don't go past my shoulder. Don't go past my shoulder. Now go over there. Look at me out of your other eye. Don't go past my shoulder. How about over here? How about over here? That way. That way. Don't go past my shoulder. And he's going, man, you are right at your end of what you're going to get away with, son. But I'm going to say, follow this. I have to be 10 times stronger with this horse than I am with Legend. And I'm going to say, the hardest thing for this horse to do is to let someone control his feet. So if I say, here's a parking lot, put your feet in that parking lot and stay right there in that parking lot. Stop your feet right there, put them there, keep them in that parking lot. And he goes, I'm not built for standing still. See, he cannot do it. He goes, I have to move my feet. And my head's going to pop up more, and I'm going to get more and more nervous. And you put your feet in that circle and stay there.
One of the strengths that Mark has that's so powerful with horses, I was thinking about this just as I watched right now, that's true for leadership. Leadership doesn't come necessarily from positional power. It doesn't come from force. In this case, it comes from inside. And Mark literally talks to horses from his core. Well, that's a lot like us. You know, it's what's inside us that's going to attract other people to the kinds of lives we live. It's nothing so much that we'll do or force or you have to go to youth group with me or anything else. It's what's inside us that will make the difference. All right, you ready for Chico?
I'm going to do one more task with Tigger and ask him to jump the barrels. And remember, this is a horse that says, as long as I agree with your leadership and what you're asking, I'll give it to you. Not much more, but I'll agree. And I want you to see what a horse does when he says, I don't think so. I'm going to say, wouldn't you like to jump these barrels? He goes, I can run around them. I can pull you. I can really get upset about it. See his legs? He's pumping pretty good now. And he's going, oh, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do that. And I'm nervous, so I got to move my feet. And I'm going to say, yeah, you're fine moving your feet. And as you're moving them, try not to pull the rope out of my hand. Try not to pull it. And as you're running around in a circle, maybe there'll be some barrels in your way. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Look at that resistance. He's saying, I don't think so. I'm going to say, what if you just happen to be running along a straight line here, and there were some barrels here? Then I'll jump them. But man, did I not like that. Did I not like that.
And you can tell that was not physically a hard task for Tigger. You know, look how effortlessly he leaped up over them. But it was the asking that he didn't like. He didn't like the fact that Mark asked him to do something he didn't want to do. All right, let's switch out now, because I absolutely want them to have the chance to
Oh,
see
here we go.
Chico,
You're being set up now.
because I consider him the world's most perfect horse. Now, I'll say that, and he'll probably act like a real schmuck today.
Hang on,
Noel?
Let's have Noelle come out and take this horse. And I want you to see how Noelle is going to handle this horse. Now she's taking this horse over when he's already agitated, as I call it. And she's going to say, leadership comes in who moves their feet the least. So if you see Noelle going, oh, this horse is making me nervous, and she dances her feet around, Ticker's going to go, I got this kid. I know I'm in charge. So what Noelle's going to have to do is say, I'm going to walk less than you. You want to run around in circles, fine. I'm going to that corner gate. So let's watch Noelle.
And I don't know if you noticed the small thing she did right there that's so important. She did a little invitation with her body and with her hand. She didn't just pull on him and say, come with me. She invited him to come with her. Horses have free will. And that horse can leave her very, very quickly if he wants to. All right, she's going to put him up, and then Mark will get Tigger, Chico, to accept his leadership. Again, watch Chico's demeanor. Does he look scared? Does he look kind of defiant? What does he look like as he's getting that request to accept Mark's leadership?
The thing a leader hates is not having anybody following them. So what Tigger's doing now is, look at him, he's going, why have you taken my herd and put it in another stall away from me? I have to stay down here and protect them from the other side of this fence. The hardest thing for a leader to do sometimes is to choose to follow. One of the finest sermons I ever heard was in Crystal Cathedral one day, and Robert Schuller, giving the sermon, said, there is one common trait that all leaders have, and that trait is they choose whom to follow. That you cannot be a leader without choosing to follow somebody or something. So what I'm asking Chico to do is, as a leader, choose to follow me. We've all taken the kind of decision that says we're going to let Christ be our leader no matter how much we want to be leaders. So let's see how Chico handles me asking him as a leader of that herd, give up your herd and become a follower. Say something so I can drink water.
I can say,
Look at him, doesn't he look perfect?
Let's talk about the horse.
Watch into that one. So this is the leader of the herd, and a leader of a herd is not just, gee, follow me. The leader of a horse herd is responsible for the lives of all of the horses in that herd. And so that's how important that leadership role is. And now Mark is saying, give up the survival of your herd and come with me. And look at him.
I have to be stronger than the draw of those other two horses and stronger than his decision to lead those other two horses. And look at them. And I'm going to say, nope, not them, me. And he goes, you want to bet? A friend of mine I used to work with would say, I'm not asking him to come over here. I'm telling him to come over here at his earliest possible convenience.
And look how he resists somewhat. Now, it might not be that real blatant resistance of Tigger or the real scary resistance of Legend. I think he's kind of saying, I kind of like doing things by myself. I've got a pretty good life going. I'm in charge of the group. Everybody likes me. I'm in good shape.
And I'm going to say to him, turn your back to those other two horses. Have I been turned off? No. Turn your back to those other two horses and come over here. Give up leadership and choose followership.
Now
And
you'll
he
see
drops his
licking and
head.
chewing already. A dropped head, he's saying, I am comfortable with your leadership. But also, doesn't he just kind of have an air of confidence? He doesn't look afraid. He doesn't necessarily look rebellious. He looks confident.
And the ability to have him collected to me, both mentally, emotionally, and physically, has little to do with the rope. It has more to do with my ability as a leader and his skill in choosing to follow. He still has to get what he wants out of this deal by being a follower. So now the same pipes.
And remember how nervous the other horses were about those pipes. You know, they had to get through them fast, and look how confident he can be. He's not gone through those pipes more than the other horses. Now that's a very unusual move for a horse, that sideways move.
That's a horse that chooses to follow.
He's checking in his herd. Okay, I'll stay with you.
So that's one of those, I have to earn his followership all the time. So I'm going to ask him to just kind of walk around me a little bit here. Same thing I asked the other horses to do, but they were on lead. So I'm going to ask him, follow me, look at me out of that eye, don't go past my shoulder. Stop there, come back to your center. Now look at me out of that eye. Now block over here, look at me out of that eye.
And you'll see Chico doing frequent checks with Mark to determine, is this what you want? Am I doing what you're asking me to do? And when I watch Chico with Mark like this, I think about the times in my spiritual life when everything is going so well and my prayer life is strong, my devotions are frequent, and that's what it feels like, where it's just kind of that effortless partnership.
Now I'll ask him to do the same things I ask the other horses to do, which is just face. And that is just thank you for accepting my leadership. Now, as I was asking, and he's going, I can't do it. And I said, what if I make it easier for you? Can I change my leadership and make this easier for you? Setting him up to be successful as a follower. Now, if I put a rope on him, he would do that all day because he'd feel a stronger physical connection. But I'll take what he's willing to offer today and say thank you for doing that. So sometimes the distance that we can exert leadership changes. So if now I ask him with just the physical contact of the rope, and I ask him, can you do this? Make a choice. How do you want to handle these barrels? And he goes, I'm a leader. I know how to go around them. If you ask me again, I know how to go through them. That is one smart dude. So that, my friend, is Chico. You're not going to tell your internet dating story?
Oh, yeah. He is my example of internet dating because when we moved up